Welcome, everyone. I would like to welcome you to the Pike County 4-H Virtual Day Camp. We are bringing to you today the topic of how to change a tire, a life skill that we believe is very important. And before we start that, I'm going to do a quick icebreaker. I am going to share my screen so you can see what we've got. All right, here we go. We have the question up here. What is the fastest someone has changed all 4 tires on a race car? So you can put those answers in the chat box. Give you some time to answer. Good guesses. All right, here we go. Here is the answer. Did anybody get it right? 1.82 seconds by a Formula One race team. That's pretty fast. Now, I'm not sure if I can quite change a tire that fast. I don't know about any of you. All right, we will then move right along, and I'm going to again share my screen with you and do the topic for today of how to change a tire. Now, if anybody has any questions, you can move them into the chat box and we can answer those there, or I can choose to answer them live on here. So if you have any questions while I'm going through, go ahead and put that in the chat box. So how to change a tire. And this was done, the videos by Austin M., a junior 4-H'er in Pike County. So your car has a flat tire, what do you do? Or even if it's not a flat tire, but you need to change your tire, what do you do? Several steps. Step 1, find a flat, stable, and safe place to change your tire. You should have a solid level surface that will restrict the car from rolling. If you are near a road, park as far from traffic as possible and turn on your emergency flashers or your hazard lights and avoid soft ground and hills. So we want to do the flat surface, not so much the non-flat surface. Step 2, make sure your car will not move. Apply the parking brake and put car into park position. If you have a standard transmission, put your vehicle in first or reverse. Place a heavy object in front of and behind the wheels to keep the car from rolling, such as a brick or rock. So here we have a picture of a brick that you can use to keep it from rolling. And this is part of step 2.
Up. If it's a manual, put it in either first or second gear with your parking brake, which will be down by your feet. Okay, when you're changing it.
All right, and then we move on to step 3. Locate and remove the spare tire. Place the jack under the frame near the tire that you are going to change. Ensure that the jack is in contact with the metal portion of your car's frame. Many cars have molded plastic along the bottom. If you don't place the jack in the right spot, it will crack the plastic when you are starting to lift. If you're not sure about the right place to put the jack, read your owner's manual. For most modern unibody cars, there's a small notch or mark just behind the front wheel wells or in front of the rear wheel wells where the jack is intended to be placed. For most trucks or older cars that have a frame, look to place the jack on one of the beams of the frame just behind the front tire or in front of the rear tire.
Okay, on a small car, most cars, your spare tire will be back here in your trunk underneath the floor. And then on most pickups, it will be up underneath, which there's a little tool for cranking it down, which I don't have to show you here, but most cars will be in the trunk. Yep.
In step 4, raise the jack until it is supporting but not lifting the car. The jack should be firmly in place against the underside of the vehicle. Check to make sure that the jack is perpendicular to the ground. Part of step 4.
When you're pulling your tire off, you don't want to have the wheel all the way off the ground until you got your lug nuts loose. Because if it's off the ground, you won't get them loose because it needs some pressure on the ground to hold the tire from spinning.
Step 5. Remove the hubcap and loosen the nuts by turning counterclockwise. Don't take them all the way off, just break the resistance. By keeping the wheel on the ground when you first loosen the nuts, you'll make sure that you're turning the nuts instead of the wheel. Use the wrench that came with your car or a standard cross wrench. Your wrench may have different sizes of openings on different ends. A correctly sized wrench will slip easily over the nut but will not rattle. Try to prepare for any unseen tire changes by keeping the exact socket size for your lug nuts as well as a breaker bar handy in the trunk. It can take quite a lot of force to break your lug nuts free. If all else fails, you can use your body weight or stomp on the wrench. Be absolutely certain you are turning in the correct way, counterclockwise. However, using your body weight or stomping means you run the risk of stripping the lug nuts as it is difficult to maintain full contact.
So on most cars nowadays, there's a little, they call this a key. If you look, there's a different lug nut. This will be in with your tire. It's a different lug nut. Put it in your wrench. Then you'll put your wrench in there and then break it loose. So on
Step 6. Pump or crank the jack to lift the tire off the ground. You need to lift it high enough to remove the flat tire and replace it with a spare. As you lift, make sure that the car is stable. If you notice any instability, lower the jack and fix the problem before fully lifting the car. If you notice the jack lifting at an angle or leaning, lower and reposition it so that it can lift straight up. It is always a good idea to keep a small jack stand handy in the vehicle as well, in case the jack gives out during the tire change. Using both the small jack and the normal jack will keep you safe in the event of a jack failure. Step 7. Remove the nuts and the rest of the way. Turn them counterclockwise until they are loose. Repeat with all lug nuts, then remove them completely. Although rare, some vehicles actually have reverse threaded lug nuts. These are usually much older cars from Chrysler and GM. Step 8, remove the tire. Place the flat tire under the vehicle so in the event of a jack failure, the vehicle will fall on the old wheel, hopefully preventing injury. If the jack is placed on a flat, solid base, you shouldn't have any problems. The tire might stick due to rust. You could try hitting the inside half of the tire with a rubber mallet to loosen the tire, or use the spare tire to hit the outside half. Example of the loosening. Step 9, place the spare tire on the hub. Take care to align the rim of the spare tire with the wheel bolts, then put on the lug nuts. Be sure to install the spare tire the correct way and not backwards. The valve stem of a donut tire should face outwards, away from the vehicle. If your vehicle uses acorn-style lug nuts, it is easy to put those on backwards as well. Be sure the tapered part of the nut faces the wheel while tightening it down. Step 10. Tighten the nuts by hand until they are all snug. They should turn easily at first. Using the wrench, tighten the nuts as much as possible using a star pattern. To ensure the tire is balanced, don't completely tighten the nuts one at a time. Going in a star pattern around the tire, one nut across from each other. Give each nut a full turn until they are equally tight. Avoid using so much force that you risk upsetting the jack. You will tighten the lug nuts again once the car is down and there is no risk of it falling.
Okay, when you're tightening up a tire, you're going to do kind of a star pattern. So you're going to go from here to here. This one's a little weird because it's 5. And then from there, down a starter pattern, because otherwise you could break, the rim could not get equal tightness, and something could break or it could come loose.
Step 11, lower the car without applying full weight on the tire. Tighten the nuts as much as possible. I missed one, sorry. Lower the car to the ground fully and remove the jack. Finish tightening the nuts and replace the hubcap. This may not apply on some spare tires. Final steps. Put the old tire in your trunk and take it to a mechanic. Make sure to pick up the items you use to keep the car from rolling, putting the tools such as the jack and the wrench back where you got them. Check your area for any other items you might have set down while changing your tire. And enjoy your job well done. And now you have changed a tire. Thank you to Austin M. for doing the video demonstrations for us. And as always, on changing a tire, you definitely want to get familiar with the tire stores in your local area. They can help you with changing of a tire, as well as checking your spare tires and making sure your jacks work properly, so that if you are ever in the position where you do have to change your tire, you know you have all the proper equipment. I know when Austin M. said when he did the tire on his parents' vehicle, that when they went to use the jack, that they discovered that the jack was actually broken, so they had to go get another jack for inside the car. So it's very important to always check your safety equipment in your vehicles, especially when you're talking about being stranded with a flat tire or not being able to change that tire. I'm going to stop screen share. And I'm going to open it up if anybody has any questions about being able to change a tire. All right. Thank you. I want to remind everybody that these virtual day camps happen every Thursday at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. in the months of June and July, and that we welcome you coming. You can get on Facebook at our Pike County 4-H page and see all of the registration links to be able to join us here. And we also have next week coming up at 10 a.m. is Kitchen Cutting Skills with Ms. Heather Jackson. And then at 2 p.m. we have Basic Electrical Skills with Mr. Terrell Davis. So we welcome you coming back and joining us.